Saints fans, well, no other way to put it. That was just completely and utterly disappointing. Polar opposite of last week. Not what we were looking for. Hoping to have a competitive showing against probably the best team in the comp this week, and we just didn't show up really. A lot of players that just, lacked a lot of effort. Very few highlights, unfortunately. And we'll try and make something of it and talk about it over the next 40 odd minutes. Lads, how are we feeling? Jakey, how's it going?
Sainers, it's it feels weird. I feel like we've played worse football this year, but Brisbane were just really good. I'm finding it difficult to not credit Brisbane for how clinical they were. They really did just take us to the cleaners, and we didn't play. I mean, it's hard to tell whether we didn't play the way we wanted to play or Brisbane were just so well structured that we just weren't allowed to play that way. Because there were a few opportunities in the game in the first quarter where we went end to end and it looked like the game opened up, but their midfield, my God, it's the best in the comp for a reason.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And ours is not.
No.
By a fair way.
I'd argue that ours is the worst in the comp by a fair way.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Worse
undoubtedly.
than Richmond?
If Richmond have uninjured players and an uninjured list, then yes, I'd say that we have the worst midfield in the comp.
Yeah, I think missing Hunter Clark in there hurt us more than we thought.
Yeah.
I think we really missed him, and even Burnsy, to be honest, on the outside.
Push Steele onto the wing. It just was a weird chemistry. Mitch Owens goes into the midfield after saying he's not a midfielder. We'll get to that in a bit, but Sammy, what's your overall reaction to the game?
Well, I think I said last week, Sydney and Essendon are going along like busted asses at the moment. We capitalised and we beat them. I didn't want to read too much into it, and I was hoping that we were just finding some really good form and that this was going to be the real test, and we just failed. It was an unmitigated disaster from the get-go. And credit to Brisbane, they inhibit everything that we don't, which is leadership, talent and system. We are deficient in all three of those areas, and it's been obvious in, I would say, for the vast majority of this year that there's so much work to be done. But yeah, credit to Brisbane, they were fantastic. But that's probably one of the worst games I think I've watched in recent memory, for no other reason than lack of effort. I could live with that, not super well if there was some gumption, some get up and go, some tenacity, but there was none of that. We weren't laying a fingernail on them for periods of that game. They made light work of us. It was just embarrassing, really.
We actually laid way more tackles than we did last week against the Bombers.
Yeah.
We laid maybe like 15 or 20 more than Brisbane. But it's because you're chasing.
It's kind of what happens when you never have the ball, I guess.
Yeah.
I just feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of a never get too high, never get too low kind of guy, so I wouldn't read too much into this game. I'm not saying it wasn't. No, it was a shit show. It was terrible. Like, that was one of the worst games of the year. I think I kind of agree with you, Jake, where I'm like, I feel like we've played worse than that. Maybe the scoreboard was a little harsh. I don't know if that's been too generous.
I think because it was so clean. Like, the Doggies game, it was more just turnovers, and the Doggies didn't even need to be that good, and they just piled on the goals. Whereas this was clearance, Danaher, clearance, Rayner.
Well, we just
you couldn't touch them.
That's the thing. We couldn't touch the ball.
It wasn't like we would. I don't know what scores from turnover was. I don't know if the differential was massive, but I feel like theirs wouldn't have been that high. Because I don't think we turned it over. I can think of 2 times, not many times, where we just blatantly handed them a goal. They created goals out of just everything.
But a lot of key players were making uncharacteristic turnovers. Like Battle had about 4 or 5. Wanganeen, Miller are the same. There were a lot of people who had a lot of turnovers. So, and that's what high pressure does. It creates turnovers, and we just couldn't cope.
Yeah. I think, generally speaking, like, there was the forward line just didn't affect the game whatsoever. Butler, Higgins, Caminiti, Sharman, I just didn't even notice them, you know what I mean? Like,
I think
I don't know if that's harsh, but I just felt like there was pretty much zero impact across the board from there. I thought Membry showed signs, he battled hard, but maybe outside of that, like, there was a few plays where I go, okay, you can sort of hang your head high, but far too many coming off the ground. But I just think, where'd you go for that?
Well, I think
120 minutes
last week, it was probably one of the better marking performances as a team that I've seen. We were marking everything in the air. We dominated contested marks around the ground, and then we stopped Essendon from doing that, which is usually their go. I think we outmarked Brisbane yesterday, but it was just chipping it around more so than contested marks and opening up the game.
Yeah.
And the issue, this is how I know we're done for the game. This is how I know, this is the barometer for me, is when all of our tools are going up for the same ball and it hits the ground and it's 4 Brisbane players that can raffle which one gets it and they run it out.
Well, so we went back to pack kicking.
We went back to pack kicking.
Starcevic and Andrews had a field day.
Absolutely. And no Hipwood. So I thought, okay, great. There's one less tall to worry about.
Yeah.
I put it on my review, but I'll put it to you guys. Do you think we should have played Tom Campbell considering the success at the Gabba? We should have played him to release Rowe.
Considering what Rowe did up forward, yes. And the commentators said as much.
And look at the clearances. How much worse could we have been with Tom Campbell in there, a bigger body that knows how to tap the ball?
Oh, yeah. And, but at the end of the day, would it have made that much of a difference? I don't know. Maybe a couple of goals, but...
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but it definitely would have... Like, at the Gabba, the first quarter, it was 12-1 clearances our way. We were still 7-2 down at the Gabba, mind you, but it was 12-1 clearances. We could get the ball.
Yeah. I don't know if that...
it.
I just don't know if that was the difference, to be honest.
I'm not saying it was the difference.
Yeah, no, I know. But
if it works once, why wouldn't you do it again?
I don't know if it would have made, just any difference, to be completely honest. To me, it was just the forward line. I'm not saying
in that case play
it could have. That's true, but and if it was to be a ruck, I'd prefer it be Heath than Campbell, but that's a whole other conversation. It was just like last week I was applauding that forward line, saying, oh, look at the movement, the energy. It was exciting, high pressure, really good ball movement, everything. But then this week it was and Marshall, who again I thought he battled and had an alright game, but it was a lot of just pointing, put it on my head, we'll jump up. And like you said, I don't know what the inside 50s were. It felt like we got it in a decent amount, but they would just get it out straight away. So the inside 50s were just shallow and meaningless almost.
I saw it pop up. I don't know if it was near the end of the game or third quarter, but it was like 46-34 at one point. I was like, 12 difference, but they're 11 goals up. They kicked very straight. Like, they were incredibly efficient going in.
Yeah, and like you guys have already said, just credit to them. I thought they were better than we were worse, if that makes any sense. Yeah. We weren't great by any stretch. We weren't even good, but they were just fantastic, and we had one of our worst games for the year. But I don't know, a lot to talk about. I think Mitch in the midfield is just such a baffling conversation. But after Ross comes out 2 weeks ago and says, we're not playing him there, all the key numbers say that, he's better in the forward line, he wins one-on-ones, all that. And then... First centre bounce of the game, he's there and played a decent amount of the game there, still gets pushed out to a wing. What is going on? Was that an experiment? Were we trying to mess with Brisbane?
I think that's what it was. I think Ross said that in his presser. We tried things in the game. None of them worked. Yeah. Like opening bounce, like you said, he was in there, but then Brisbane go forward, Owens is the ruckman, and then Rowe was deep. And that was like a minute in. I'm like, interesting. Owens is taking the defensive ruck. That's dangerous. And then Rowe's deep, and I'm like, what's going on here? Jack Steele, his lowest CBAs in years, 67%, 89% against Essendon. What's that all about? Yeah. Our best midfielder and his 22% less attendances in the midfield when we're playing the best midfield in the comp. What's that all like? It seems weird. It seems bizarre. Like what? I don't understand.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think that any sort of structural player positional change would have changed the outcome of that game because it came down to effort. We were just uncompetitive. Like it might as well have been a Brisbane Open training session.
Yeah.
But to give yourself the best chance, why would you make that change? Like even just that alone, to me, is baffling. Like was he not 100%? Was the illness that ruled out Ronnie Burns maybe through a few other players? Because I joked about that pre-game, like that always happens. Yeah. It's not just one player. A few of them are sick. Yeah. But I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if a few players weren't quite 100% going into this, and hence Steely not playing in the guts as much. Even putting Rowe deep so early in the game I thought was odd. Mason Wood played deeper, and I thought we needed him more on the wing. And actually, the 2 times we actually went end-to-end in the first quarter was when Wood pushed up, took a mark, and we switched it.
Yeah. That, not going at Mason because he's been pretty consistent throughout his entire tenure at the club.
He did have a patch of 5 minutes that he won again.
But that was probably the worst game I've seen him play for the club. I don't know what was going on with him, if he was carrying an injury, but just was almost mind-boggling to me to see the way he was using the ball like that. The lack of energy from him was just bizarre because it's so unlike him. So
I mean, I'll give him... He can have an off game.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been so good for years.
Of course he can, but it's just bizarre.
That sort of thing, it's like a cancer, right? If everyone around you is playing that sort of game, then you're going to get inside your own head and you're going to have that game. It's how team sports works.
Yeah. And it's a two-pronged thing, isn't it? It's like you need your teammates to lift you as well. But at the same time, if they're down, you think you need to do more. You're like, okay, you're playing shit, great. Now I need to pick up your slack. And then you overcompensate and then you pull off kicks that aren't there, or you try and take on a few blokes. Maybe you should give the hands instead, and you lose trust in kind of just, I'll trust you, hands. Like there was times when Naz had a kick that was just there, 15-metre dart. Last week he was hitting it straight away. And this week he's kind of like taking a bounce and jogging towards that guy, and then he handballs it, and then that guy's under pressure.
Yeah.
Hit the kick straight away. That's weird. Like, is that effort-based, or is that just focus? Like, because the effort, I get you. At the same time, that kick is there last week, and why would you change your approach to it a week later?
I think it's a confidence thing. Like, you know, when you're under that much pressure, and Brisbane just wanted it way more than we did. Like, that much was obvious. They wanted to absolutely bury us, and they did. And we broke under pressure. We couldn't cope with it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what bottom four sides do.
Yeah, I don't know. A question I'd pose to you guys is, after that game, would you say, are we nowhere near it? Because just look at Essendon last week. I don't know what they're talking about on their fan channels and stuff, but I can assure you
they said it was year done.
You know, outrageously negative, right?
Yeah.
Listen, this week it'll be the complete opposite, right? And the same can almost be said for us. Last week we were sitting here not saying, we're going to win the premiership next year, but we're looking all right. And then this week there's a lot of just, we're done. You know, it's going to be another 3-year rebuild. It's like. I don't know. I just don't buy into that. Like Sydney, I know, are in a completely circumstance to us, but they just lost by 100 points. Are they going to sit there and say, well, we're just done for the year? Like this, I'm not saying this wasn't a terrible game because it was bad. It was so bad, but I'm just not reading that much into it. It's pointed out some of our flaws that we already knew about, but it's just exacerbated them to so that we can see them clearer. You know, midfield being one of them. But to me, I'm disappointed, but I'm not going to overread this into just one game because to me, since the West Coast game at Optus, we've shown more to say that we're on the right track than not. This was the one game within all of those that I've gone, that was terrible. Where was the effort? You know, every other game, even the ones we've lost, I still think we're on the right track.
I guess it depends too. Like, we've gone from playing the flag favourites to playing the wooden spooners now.
Yeah.
So how much is this sort of loss going to affect us? Are we just going to acknowledge and go, yeah, we know where we're at. We know how good this team is. We just couldn't match it with them. And then if we come out and we play like we did against Essendon and we blitz Richmond, what do we say then? What would you say then?
Well, you have to take into account every other game of the year. It's not like a one-and-done kind of thing on a week-to-week basis. So, okay, we're good this week, therefore we are here, or we're bad this week, therefore we are here. The reality is that the game on the weekend really is emblematic of what this year has been, which has been, to me, a bit of a disaster. We've completely underperformed across the board. We don't have the talent or the depth required. We lack leadership. We lack structure. And I think it's going to be quite a long, difficult road. I think this isn't going to be like a one-off season fix or something like that. Yes, we're tracking in the right way, but there are other teams around us with far deeper talent pools that they will overtake us quite quickly. I'm certain of.
I agree with that, but can we say that we've underperformed and then in the same sentence say we don't have the talent?
Yeah,
how can you underperform if you don't have the talent?
You can't have
well, performance would be based on last year, right?
Yeah, but we overachieved then, people are saying. So it's like, did we achieve what
you achieve what you achieve, right? But last year would be the preface to, okay, what are you going to achieve this year? What can you achieve this year? Now, I would say that based on last year, if we fell anywhere below 10th, I think we're a 10th position team at our best, to be perfectly frank. I would say that's a fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm getting at is, would we have been sitting here having this conversation the way we are last week? Like, say we win the next 3 games, right? Or we win 2 out of the next 3. Are we going to sit here at the end of the year and say what we're saying now.
Yeah.
I just don't think so. Like, yes, there's glaring issues, but I don't want to read too much into this one game.
Yeah.
And it's a tight season too. So like before the result, we were only 4 games off where Brisbane were. We were 4 games worse.
Yeah.
In a tight season. That's not. And how many games have we lost by under 10? It's
but it's less about the score and more about the deficient areas. Like, it's all good and well to say, okay, we lost by 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, 10 points, but it's the way that we're losing the way that we're scoring, which are areas that just you can't play that way in the modern game. Like 39 points in a game is a complete and utter disaster.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you get pelted by 85.
Half?
Yeah.
1 goal 4 in the first
one
half.
goal. Yeah, it was.
And Sydney were 1 goal 3 at half time?
And Sydney did the same thing. It's just unacceptable. Yeah. Like, even if you lose by 100 points, there are teams who have been flogged by 100 and are still scoring 50, 60 points. So, I don't see that as conducive, and it's falling back into bad habits of we're kicking to packs, forwards aren't leading, midfields aren't hitting targets. It's same old.
Yeah, but are the good games, the ones that you say, the Essendon game, for example, is that what the one we look at and we go, well, that's not us? Or is this the one we look at and we say, well, that's not us? Like,
but again, it's a grain of
because
salt
how many times have we seen us play like this throughout the year? I think maybe twice.
We've seen it with this and the Dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that kind of tells you this isn't us.
But the other thing is that you've got to take into consideration the other team as well. So Brisbane were, I would say, pretty flawless on Saturday.
Absolutely flawless.
Essendon last week were totally uncompetitive. It was an open training session for us. So again, it's a grain of salt kind of thing. It's like, what are you up against? And they say, you can only win against whoever you've played or whatever the saying is, and that's all good and well. But it depends how that team performs on the day, regardless of where they are on the ladder.
Yeah.
So that's why the Sydney Essendon game was sort of like, well, they're going along really badly. Their statistics tell you that they are both bottom 6 teams at this point in the season for round 12 and beyond. What does that say?
Yeah, I guess the sort of games where like you play a good team, it's neck and neck, you're challenged, and you get over the line. Those are the games where you're like,
exactly,
they're bloody knuckled down. There was moments where we could have fallen apart and we didn't. So like last year, there were multiple games like that. The first time we played Carlton, actually both times, one we won, one we lost, but both games were very much there. One team's up and about, one team's not, and then you're fighting it out. It's a battle. They're both playing the similar level of quality.
Yeah,
we've won games when we've been on top and the other team. Like what's a game this year where it's been neck and neck the whole way and we broke through?
We won by like 3 points.
True, and we were down by 5 goals.
Yeah.
So that, but again, to Sammy's point, how much can we gauge into the form of Sydney at that time?
It's true.
But they did go to the Gabba a couple of weeks later and
that was the next week.
Yeah.
Like, they've had 2 bad games, like, it's like saying if Sydney...
I don't think they were as bad against us as, say, obviously against Port. Like,
yeah,
it's
obviously.
a different level.
Like, Sydney aren't coming out this week and being like, oh, well, this shows how far off we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're still first on top of the ladder, going to be in finals competing for a premiership. Like, I don't know how much we can read into this one game is all I'm trying to get.
I didn't go into rant mode after this game because of that reason, because... Like you said, I think our last 6-7 weeks, we've been top 6 for win-loss.
Yeah.
Like, I can't complain about that. We've scored more up until this week. We've averaged 85 points, conceding only about 60-odd. We've been good defensively, good on the attack. We're still blooding the kids. Like, McLennan was a highlight. I thought he was actually pretty good in the back half. He didn't look too bad, did he?
No, he was good.
He looked like
it was a dour day for everyone, but he was one of the few that actually stood up.
Yeah.
Very tough.
One of about 3
for a debutant.
Took a few good grabs for a smaller guy, and they've always said that his kicking's been the big, like Batchelor at Sandy kind of always said kicking was his issue.
Yeah.
But he kept it pretty basic yesterday and didn't bite off more than he could chew, which was good. And Mosh, man of the match, kind of jump into that. Yeah. I want to get to him.
Let's go for it.
I thought Mateus on return was just continued that form that we've seen. 24 and a goal. He was the one player, and like I know the club said Josh Battle. I kind of don't agree with that because the ball was always there. He was always going to get a ton of it. So I disregard any defender because the ball was there for 80% of the game.
Yeah.
Mateus was the one where I looked in the guts, and he was the one that could find the ball and get it out clean quick. None of our midfielders could do that. None of them. And his first game back from injury, like...
Exactly. He also tried to bring some energy. He kicked a goal, pumped the logo, which we know I love, and then was, up and about despite the scoreline being horrific, which I really rated from him, Yeah.
So laid some tackles.
Good on him.
It's just good that no matter how the game's going, like on the scoreboard and for the rest of the team, like you said before, he didn't get sucked into playing poor football.
Yeah.
He stuck to his guns, and he still had that class about him.
And that's probably the most impressive aspect, like the mental fortitude of what a 19-year-old to be able to do that when you have veterans who are getting sucked into the abyss of poor form because everyone else is playing badly. It says a lot about him and the person that he is.
He's got his standards, and that's what he meets. He's not meeting everyone else's standards. He's got his, and he goes for that every week. So he was the man of the match for me.
Sure. Join over 30,000 other guys in the Mosh Hair Regrowth family and get $50 off your first treatment plan with code SAINTS50 at checkout. Completely customized, totally online, and cheap hair regrowth solutions from $45 a month. Smarter hair loss treatment all starts with a quiz at getmosh.com.au. Anything else to talk about from this game? I thought there was... you said in your review, which I found very interesting, this is why we should take the pick for battle.
Yeah, well, someone tweeted that, and someone... So I was kind of paraphrasing what they had said. Yeah. Someone tweeted after the game saying... Battle made no difference to this result, but I guess 2 first-round picks that midfielders could. Do we? I think that's an exaggeration because a week ago, it's similar to just the general vibe of last week versus this week. Last week, he's a gun and we need him, and then this week because we lost by 80, we get rid of him. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like we're just betting a dead horse now. Like it's just, it really is just a boring conversation because it's every week. It's like, oh, is he staying? Is he going? Who cares? He'll do what he wants. Yeah. Like honestly, at the end of the day, if he wants to go. We'll take the pick. If he doesn't, fantastic.
I think either way, it's a win, isn't it?
Well, exactly. Like
we get a pick or we get a gun player.
You know, I think we just need to stop talking about it because it's going to happen soon. Yeah. We just don't know what's going to happen.
Josh, can you just announce it?
Yeah, I know. I was about to say people are probably getting a bit bored of the conversation, but it's the same thing around that narrative is like you can't get too high, you can't get too low, just let it play out. But last point on it, I was going to say that game shows why we do want to keep him, if anything. I just thought that was an interesting point because it's, again, we're lacking any leadership or, talent. I would argue he brings both of those things.
It's size.
Yeah.
We looked so small. Yeah. We looked so weak against that outfit. And the scary thing is the average age yesterday, they were younger.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They were 2 years on average younger.
Yeah.
That's...
Where'd you pick that one up from?
Slight worry.
See it on Saints memes?
Nah, I don't know.
It was a Kench footy. I think it was on there.
I saw it on
Twitter somewhere.
It was on the social media sphere.
25 and a half to 27 average age.
But, But midfield's a big concern. Yeah. Like, it's midfield's aging. We don't have much young talent in there. Like
Hunter Clark.
Paddy Dow is not in our best 22. Hunter Clark,
I
thought we missed Hunter Clark, to be honest.
Well, we definitely did. The class and the skill there, but at the pace that Brisbane were moving at, he would have been cleaned up every time.
Rayner was just like...
It was Rayner. Did we give him a career high game? I feel like we almost did.
Do every time.
We love giving players career high games.
If you're super coach and it's Saints Brizzy, you captain Rayner. Yeah. That's a go-to.
Shout out to Jaden for manifesting that.
Jaden knows that Rayner is going to go berserk.
Exactly. No, but I mean, the midfield is like, that was for me the one thing where I'm like, okay, we already knew this, but now it's like, there's no hiding from it. You know what I mean? Like it was on full display that it feels like Steele and then everybody else. Like, Sinclair goes in there and performs well, but again, he's a 2-time All-Australian half back. I want to see him play there. You got Philippou, Clark, Steele. Like, I think there's some good signs there, and that we will continue to develop there. But yeah, ultimately, we're going to have to look at free agency, trade, draft to improve there.
Brisbane, I said it on the way in, but Brisbane's best 2 midfielders are players that they traded in. Neil and Dunkley.
Yeah.
I mean, they get 2 Ashcrofts now, so...
No, exactly.
They could win the flag and get the number 1 pick. Equalisation at work there. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Love that for them.
For sure. I think it's time to get stuck into some Jake's Junkmail.
Jake's Junkmail. Jake's Junkmail. Jake's Junkmail. Jake's Junkmail.
Straight into it. I'm fully prepared, boys. Let's go. Let's get... What's the best name here? We love our names on Saints TV. Where is it? Where's the best name? $20 pint. That's a good one. Do we think that Burns, Clark and Henry would have made a difference? I don't think we would have won with them, but, I mean, they're in their best 22.
Oh, yeah,
Goes without
100%. But
saying,
again,
would
it's
be better.
mindset. Like, the mindset was the part that needed to change. And are they going to change that? Who knows?
So, yeah, I think that would have helped.
Yeah. This one's from Steen Matthew. Why was there such hesitation with every decision we made?
Pressure. Couldn't cope with it.
Yeah.
Pressure and, like you said, maybe sensing that your teammates are off. So you're like, do I trust to give it to you? Do I bite that? Is he going to mark it? We were dropping marks. Our handballs weren't as quick.
Low confidence.
Yeah. Diego Assman.
Arseman.
Assman.
Is that
With a burger.
Yeah, Diego Arseman. Yeah, right, huh?
I think people just changing their names to bloody Canadian, to be honest. If each of you could make one change this off-season to help us improve, what would it be and why? It's a good one from the Assman.
Well, it's obvious, isn't it?
Hey?
It's obvious.
One change? What would it be?
It has to be a top-end midfielder. That's the one change.
If there's one available, then yeah, you got to go after him. But
Well, we're going to get pick 4 or 5 at this rate.
Yeah.
You know, we're finishing bottom 6 easily. So,
I mean, the draft is inevitable though. Like anything outside of that you would pursue or I don't know because I mean, it's just like it's what's on the market. Like we just don't really
and it's
know.
incentive as well.
Yeah.
Do we have the incentive for players to come to us? I would say that not at this rate. No.
No, we'd need to have some pretty good wins.
No,
next
maybe you
3
can pull
weeks.
out that servo sheet and say, hey, look, see number 4 there. Everyone's pretty happy here.
This one's from Ben. He's asking, have we reached the point of the season where the starting point for selection is pick the youngest 23 available and then justify replacing them with an older player? It feels like too many non-decisions at selection are protecting older players when there are younger players who could come in and who would benefit from exposure at AFL level. I mean, it's a fine line.
Yeah, no, I don't think
that's
so.
That's almost
because
tanking at that point.
As Ross says, you got to set the culture for next year now, you know, and our culture should be a process-driven club. Every week we go in trying to win. We prepare for every game as if it's a grand final, and you don't just you start that round 1 next year. You start it right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's borderline tanking doing that. Should we maybe prioritize our younger players over our seniors at times? Yes, where it's warranted. Maybe a Shoalmaker over a Bonner. But yeah.
But you need on-field leadership as well, and the younger players realistically are not going to bring you that. That's why you need older players. You can't do a North Melbourne and set yourself back a decade.
Nah,
It's got to be a balance.
Yeah, absolutely. This one's from Simon. He's asking, when do you think we will see Wilson get some midfield time? Was drafted as a mid-forward. It's a fair call. Wilson in the guts. I mean,
it's interesting.
Maybe next year. He needs some size. They usually take about 2 years to put on some size.
Yeah.
I reckon once he's got that, he'll be in there, but he's very wiry at the moment.
Yeah, no, you're right. He's still pretty small, but also I love his goal sense. Like it feels like he just knows where they are. He can get it on his boot quickly. The start of the year, he kicked 2 goals in 3 or 4 games. So
yeah,
it's not like he's just useless in the forward line. He's doing well. So
Quirk Dog is asking, when are the Saints playing Carlton? Well, it is round 24. But we don't know the time slot. Assuming
all the time
the results go their way, what time slot we get in
I
Saturday?
think we spoke about this the other week.
It's going to be Saturday night. They'll pack out that stadium, and there is a scenario at this rate where that could be the game that determines whether they make the 8 or not.
So that's genuinely a grand
this
final.
is and not a small chance. It's
a
more
big
likely
chance.
than not. Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
It's going to be a massive game.
I would love that.
Hawthorn's about 6-7% off Carlton, and they play each other this week.
Yeah, that's going to be a big game.
Hawthorn, and then Hawthorn have got Richmond and North.
Yeah.
So that percentage gap, they can make that up easy.
Oh, absolutely.
Easy.
Yeah.
So
I would love if it is the case where they're playing for their finals chance, not just so we could ruin
tickets. We wouldn't
but
get
just
tickets
so
to
that
game.
just so that we can challenge ourselves against that pressure.
We would we would be doing what Collingwood did to them a few years back when Collingwood had to make top 4.
But they were fighting we'd be fighting for nothing essentially.
No, we'd be fighting for the rest of the comp. On behalf of the AFL.
It still would be very funny. Very, very funny.
Awesome. It'd be awesome. Yeah.
This one's from Beam. He's asking, was a game... I'll try and word this. Was a game where people blame King for not competing showing we have bigger issues?
I don't quite understand that question. Was it? Wait, repeat the question.
I don't know if there's another part to it. There doesn't seem to be. Was a game where people blame King for not competing, showing we have bigger issues. I think he's saying maybe is it more of an attitudinal thing where King's not competing and it's showing maybe across the... Like, he didn't play yesterday, King, obviously.
Yeah.
He would have bloody helped. But,
Yeah.
like, the lack of competition was on show yesterday anyway. So it's not just a King thing, I guess. Yeah.
But is he not competing? Is that a fair criticism? I think there have been games where he's...
I think he's been overlooked.
Yeah.
I think we're not
How
going
was King copping us straight?
I don't-
He didn't even play.
He hasn't played for, 4 weeks now, the poor guy.
Beam's gone bang. That's what
All I'd
Beam's
say
done.
about King is he's one of our most talented players, and of course we miss him when he doesn't play.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Raphael, not a junk mail question, but he just said at least Filippo was good again.
Yeah.
And then Hayden is asking, is anyone in the draft in our predicted pick range looking like an A-grade talent? Look, to be honest, they're all talent, and then you mould them into that A-grade talent.
There's about 13 boys running around at the moment, and any one of them could be top 5.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how deep this draft goes.
So that's why people need to chill if we get pick 7 instead of 5. Like, we're still going to be...
We'll be getting a gun regardless at the end of the day.
Even like those later picks, like remember Cripps was like pick 15 odd, Lockie Neal was really late pick.
Dane
like,
Swan was pick 71,
exactly,
I
there you
think.
go. We picked up Sinclair in a rookie draft, like... You know, every pick can hold value. You know, the high ones, there's obviously better probability, but, you know, every pick, you're exactly right. Like, it's what the club does when they come in through the doors, and we set them up.
We might
from there.
actually get, is it Justin Pickett's son? Kick 5 on the weekend. Looks like an
Yeah, but we'd
absolute
need to trade for him, wouldn't we? Or
he's academy, isn't he? Is he in GA?
Is it father-son or
Or is it
academy?
father-son? Might be
I think
just
it's father-son.
So we're finally going to get a father-son, and he's a good player.
Well, they kicked 5 in
kicked
one of the
5
best teams in Vic League.
There's like a mid, 20-odd disposals, 5 goals on the weekend. I don't know Spider Everett's son. I don't know how he's going, but he was playing.
Yeah.
He has been playing for the last couple of years, I think.
Yeah, I think he's going.
Yeah?
Yep.
He's
And
going.
that's
And
about the
Tyson
extent
Milne
of
as
it.
well. I don't know if Tyson Milne's ever a chance, but he's been playing for a while.
he was playing well at Sandy a few years
Well,
back.
yeah.
I haven't,
List spots are going to probably open up at the end of the year, so if we get some rookies
True.
in, may as well roll the dice.
Yeah. And then this one's from the Sporting Adventures of Jonathan, I think, or something. I don't know. He just said, do some recruiting for South Yarra Footy Club. To be honest, mate, I did. They were down on numbers on the weekend, so if there's anyone listening or watching and you want to play footy on the weekend, hit up South Yarra Football Netball Club because they're always looking for players. Great culture there. We're a sponsor. We're on the jumper, so hit them up. They need all the help they can get, and that's what we want to do. We want to help the club.
Yep.
That's Junkmail on that note. Thanks, everyone, for sending it in.
Thank you.
Great names, great questions. That should be like the tagline.
Yeah.
Great.
Special names, special questions.
Even more special questions. Yeah.
Well, there was no VFL this weekend, so...
Nah, they had to buy.
yeah. Which... It's
Kinda
weird,
makes
right? Does the club organise like a
scratch?
hit out for them or something? Because it seems weird, right?
Or do they
Sometimes
just
it-
give them the week off? Like,
Yeah.
Go to Bali or something. I don't know.
to Bali for the week.
Yeah. Well, coming up against Richmond,
Yep.
what can we get out of this game? Yeah. Well, what moves do we make during the week?
Realistically, there's not much you can take from this game.
No.
Like, I've been watching a lot of Richmond games this year. They're competitive, but they've just got no players and they've got no depth of talent at the moment. So, like the weekend, I wouldn't even read into it regardless of the result. If we whacked them by 200, I'd say, okay, well, there's maybe something there, but they're competitive at best, and that's not a compliment.
Yeah.
They're as bad as sides get.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like stick to the process, treat it like
worry
any
about
other
us.
game. Like,
Worry about
yeah,
us.
Sure,
Play our
like
way.
do whatever scouting you got to do on them, but like
Yeah.
just keep setting cultural foundations that are gonna round 1 next year. We've already put into practice how we want to prepare every week. So just continue to do that, get the win, try and win comprehensively, and
Pretend that you need to win by 70 to make finals.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
have a random goal like that. Just create a scenario and go, let's try and meet that.
Yeah.
Like, that's an easy way to get players up and about.
Yeah, like I think something that fans forget, right, is like, sure, the season's done, we're not playing for finals, but an AFL game is an AFL game, and it's still a great opportunity for your youngsters, even for your senior players to just put anything to practice, right? You're on the biggest stage you can get in terms of playing AFL, not quite finals, but put everything into practice possible so that next year, we're ready to go.
And like, there's always something to play. I play Wednesday night indoor soccer in Blackburn, and we've been bottom for the last bloody 4 years. And you think I like going there and not competing? I go there, bloody tackle, score goals, win some games. I don't care that we're bottom. You always got something to play for.
Exactly.
Blue Steel represent. You know, that's the
I'm
team.
with
That's
you.
a shocking team.
What is it you're playing for?
Pride.
Fun?
Mainly. And I don't get any of that.
Yeah,
so.
fair enough.
Soon to come.
Yeah, fingers crossed. What are the changes?
Yeah.
Dow.
Dow's not playing.
I like
getting
him. I
up.
think he's a nice boy. I think he tries hard enough. I just don't think he's up to it.
Garcia? Bit of the
Yeah,
hue?
potentially. I guess it depends on who's coming back. So is Hunter Clark going to be back from injury?
Surely.
Is Burnsy going to be not sick?
I would assume
Is
both.
the flu going to take out half the team?
Let's assume Clark and Burns are fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means Dow.
Am I allowed to say Bonner or?
Well, he's
are we-
any player that's subbed out at half time, you'd think they're a chance to be dropped, right?
Potentially. Potentially.
I mean, he was
But-
terrible.
But we were getting hammered. So, like, it said tactical, and it's like, I think it was a bit of both. He was struggling big time, but Dow, we needed midfield reinforcements,
Yeah.
didn't we? Like,
Yeah.
tactically, we did. We were getting hammered in
Yeah.
there. Because we had no other option.
Yeah.
So.
I think, like, I've been, it's obviously nothing personal against Bonner. I would just so much prefer to see Ari in that position.
I think,
But
I mean,
the problem with Ari is, and the thing that Ross is keying onto, is he backs away from contests consistently.
Does he?
Yep. Watch
In
the
the air?
vision. There's
In the air?
vision going around of that. And
There's
it's
a lot
pretty
of vision
consistent.
of Bonner doing the same thing. and
Yeah, I know, but we're not talking about
Ari's
Bonner.
got a
I'm
lot
talking
more
about
promise
Ari
than
right
him,
now.
Yeah,
So he backs away from the contest. He'll go in and he'll move off. Watch the
who are
games that he's
talls?
played.
Who are the talls for Richmond? Like,
I'm trying to think who they have at the moment.
Like, we've got Battle, Wilkie, Howard. I don't think they have three talls.
What, have they got Kaczynski?
Yeah, he played last. He played against North. Obviously, no Lynch. Who else? Is that just it?
I
They've
don't
got
even know.
him. They've got Nankervis.
Yeah, but he'll be with Rowe.
I don't think they've got
So really, they've got one
anyone
tall.
up there.
So there's probably no need anyway for that extra height.
Yeah.
I would argue.
Well, no, but their mosquito fleet will get you. Like Shy Bolton will kick 5 if you
so
let him
you've
off
got
the chain.
Webster, Stocker.
Yeah,
I mean, Shy Bolton kicked 4 on us last time, didn't he?
yeah.
Yeah. You'd think Webster to him.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I've been saying Max Heath the last few weeks. I'd love to see him. I don't know.
I don't think we're going to make more than 3 or 4 changes, honestly.
No.
We're going to bring in Burns. We're going to bring in Clark if they're fit and healthy,
Yeah.
and then from there, that could well be it. Wouldn't surprise me.
But I mean, it's the perfect game to roll the dice and try some things out.
Yeah.
Because we are talking about the weakest team in the comp by a significant margin. So this is the perfect game to pluck some players out of the VFL who have had some form over the last little while and see what happens there. Maybe manage some older midfielders. Maybe, I know that Zach Jones has been all right for the last couple of weeks, but maybe he needs a spell. I can't see Dow playing really for the rest of the season if most of the midfield's fit. Probably some other players I'd move around. I'd think about moving Butler down for a bit. I think he needs a spell.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was. He struggled on the weekend.
So there's a few changes that can be made there without, absolutely throwing the axe and making wholesale changes. But I think it's needed. Change is not a bad thing.
No.
And I think Ross is sometimes a little bit afraid of change. He doesn't make many changes and doesn't take many risks, and that's what I've sort of noticed with his list choices over the last 2 seasons.
It's going to be interesting.
I think he just my explanation for it would just be like he knows what he trusts and he just sort of goes with that, But yeah, I agree. I don't hope it's wholesale because again, I don't want him to overreact. But yeah, there's definitely I want to see Hunter, Ronnie, potentially Garcia, potentially Ari, even Max Heath. Like some of those, 3 out of 5 of them maybe come in, and a few players that were down make room. But yeah, I don't know.
He loves
Would you play McLennan again? Would you give him another whirl?
I think so.
I reckon I would.
I think
Unless
I would.
there's like someone to come straight in for him.
you mentioned
then-
Mosquito Fleet. I mean, it's important to have that extra medium size like Webster, him, and Soccer. That's pretty handy.
Yeah.
He looked good. There's no reason why. I mean, he had 14. It's not bad. And I actually like that Ross is debuting people like kids in some big games. He debuted Ari at the Gabba.
Yeah.
He's debuted bloody McLennan against Brisbane.
Yeah.
He loves debuting against Brisbane for some reason.
Yeah.
Who else have we? Wilson was at Geelong, wasn't it?
Yeah, round one.
So, like, yeah, he's not afraid to pull the trigger on some kids. That's 8.
Will
debutants,
Windy
I
be
think.
back, or has he got 1 or 2
he's
weeks?
got
He was
few more
listed as
weeks.
1 to 2.
Yeah.
But they were saying that
It's probably going to be 2.
he's improving quick. So it wouldn't surprise me if suddenly it's a test.
Yeah.
You know? We tend to do that with our injury updates where it says 2 weeks, but it's really 1.
Yeah.
We kind of...
It's not a bad thing.
We give ranges, whereas I know the AFL don't like that. It's always like 1 to 3 weeks for our players. And then suddenly he's fit.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
You know,
Or
so-
it's Geelong where it's TBC and then they're playing and then the list on the
We've got a
weekend.
bunch of TBC as well.
Watch Windy not play this week, but then he'll be fit for Geelong and Carlton, and he'll tag
Yeah.
their best mids. I don't think he could tag Cripps, to be honest. I think Cripps
Nah,
is
too
big.
small.
That's still
Cripps
just
is too
head-to-head.
big,
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, the atmosphere was pretty flat at the game.
23K.
I felt. Yeah, I mean that's like the Fitzroy.
Yeah,
influence,
there was
I
a lot
felt
of turnout for them.
It was. I can't say I blame anyone for leaving early, but it was bloody disappointing to see everyone at 3/4 time go.
Thanks for
home.
bringing that up, but I was amazed, like, late in the game. Even I was with a Brisbane mate, and Brisbane fans were leaving early. It was that comfortable. They were like, I'm going home, I'm beating the traffic. I've never seen opposition fans
Yeah, that's
leave.
weird.
Why would you leave when your team's comfortably winning?
Yeah.
Like, early. Isn't that weird?
I don't know, get the early flight home.
I'd be soaking it in.
Like
especially if
last
you're,
week when we were thumping Essendon, I was like the best
think-
quarter of footy ever. 'Cause you
But, like,
just
think
relax.
about it. They're probably Melburnians. Brisbane don't travel here that often. Enjoy
Yeah.
it. Sing the song at the end. It's not like they come here every week.
Yeah, that is odd.
And I'm not going to rant over what the winning
Yeah.
supporter base did, but I thought that was very odd behaviour. I wouldn't do it personally, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But on Saints fans leaving early, like, to be fair, I couldn't blame anyone for not putting in any effort when your players aren't putting in any effort. So, like, I hate to say it, but fair game.
Yeah.
That was so bad. I don't blame them for
No,
leaving
like
early.
I can't blame them. It's a sad sight, is all.
I mean, you
Yeah.
go to a stand-up show and the comedian's trying to crack jokes and it's not funny. What do?
You leave.
You leave or you heckle,
Or the movie's terrible.
Yeah.
and you leave.
Yeah.
So it's not just football. It's not personal.
No,
I
obviously.
don't condone it, but I'd be
It
stupid
still
if I said I
sucks,
don't
yeah.
understand it.
And I'm just like,
But I get you.
Yeah.
It's not a good look when you're down and you see the players and that you can tell they're hurt and they're
Yeah.
looking around and the stands are empty.
Maybe I can't even. When Membry kicked that first goal, like the crowd got up and about, and that was probably it, like for the entire game, which was
Yeah. The
can't-
first
can't be
quarter,
good for confidence or anything.
the first quarter, going back to the Brizzy game, but the first quarter, it was like 10 points the margin for a big chunk.
Yeah,
But I don't know you guys watching it, but I could feel that it's not going to stay like this for long.
No,
Like,
the damn
I felt
wall-
like
yeah.
something was brewing, and we needed to fix something quick, and we didn't.
And
Yeah.
that's
it was
the thing.
It was 8 to 18.
Yeah, it
Like-
felt like the damn wall was holding up for maybe half of the first quarter, and
Yeah.
it just broke because they were so intense.
It was like, who's going to make the move first? Are we going to improve enough to bridge the gap, or are Brisbane going to finally capitalise on how poor we've been?
yeah.
And
That was weird because, like, honestly, in the first quarter, I think when the siren went, I said to my brother, I was like, it almost feels like the scoreboard should be closer. Like, not in the. I just didn't feel that, to be honest. Like, maybe when the second quarter came around, I go, oh, geez, like, here it comes. But that
It was
first quarter, I
yeah.
thought we were actually doing okay.
It was little things. It wasn't like
Yeah.
the scoreboard. It was like the amount of times they broke tackles or got clean
Yeah.
clearances. And I'm like,
No, that's
if
true.
that stacks up for 4 quarters, which they're perfectly capable of doing, we're not going to win this game.
Yeah.
I didn't foresee that we would struggle to kick
Yeah,
goals
yeah,
and
yeah,
not
yeah. No, I
and
get you.
blown up. But yeah,
For sure.
that's just the way it is. We've got to respond though.
Absolutely. Anything else to add on about this week or the upcoming week? What do we think, lads?
It's all about the response. It's all about the mentality.
Well, exactly. And a game like that has the capacity to crush you mentally.
That's
So, and the Tigers would be licking their lips, and fair enough at this rate. They'll be coming out looking for their 3rd win of the season. So I'd be getting ready for a fiery Richmond.
Yeah, we lost to Adelaide in Adelaide. We came back and we blitzed West Coast.
Exactly.
So let's bounce back that same way.
Yeah. The other
'Cause
thing,
it's all
like-
about the response.
Like Sammy just said, like, we as a club unfortunately know what it's like to be bottom of the ladder, and you only get a few chances a year to win a game.
And you get up for
Richmond will be unfortunately looking at us like that. So
Yeah.
let's not let that happen because that'd be mighty embarrassing. So I know it's tough times right now, but chins up, heads up, get to the game Saners if you can. I think it's an away game, so get
Yeah,
up
it's
to
away,
GA.
3:20. We know Richmond fans don't go to Marvel. do
No,
they?
yeah, Dimmer hates
we should be
Marbles.
able to dominate
We'll
the crowd.
be the majority in
Yeah.
the crowd, so get to the game. It's not a man is match game, is it? They don't doing that this year, but they
I
had
think
merch.
I
No.
actually think it is because
They said it's
Are
not.
Richmond doing it or?
I don't know, but they released merch. I remember in the caption
Yeah.
on Facebook they said
Yeah, I
no
saw
man is
that.
match this year, but he's
oh
merch.
okay cool.
So I think they're still doing merch.
Sure,
You can wear
okay.
it, but I don't
Right.
think they'll
Well,
have
yeah.
any sort of
pick
like,
some of that up if you got your eye on it for
Yeah.
sure.
I'd love a jumper where we just change the red to purple. Did
Yeah.
we do
that
in
would be cool.
2017? Was that 2017?
I think we
Yeah,
did.
we've done it a
Was that
couple
with
times,
the
yeah.
cross one? Purple
No,
cross?
we just had
Nah.
a purple,
Was it-
white, and black. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We just
Yeah.
changed the red.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
that was
right.
the game where we like
Tricolours.
killed it
Yeah.
back in 2017.
Yeah, and then won the
Okay.
flag.
The
after
famous
that.
game.
Bring it back.
Yeah. All right then. Well, tough week, but hopefully next week come back in with a bit more positive energy for us. So yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Until then, lads. Catch you later.
Yep.
Come the Saints.
Go Saints.